On our segment today, I've talked extensively about replacing the bad engine in my 43 GPW. I told you what happened to the other one. We showed you the head. It's just, again, it's toast. Then we talked about a new engine, okay? So it makes sense to me if I'm going to have to go to all that effort to take out the engine and replace it, I just as well fix the transmission and the power transfer and the clutch and all of that stuff. So what I did was, a good friend of mine who lives out on the West Coast in Oregon, Brett Setter, and many of you guys may even know him. He sells quite a few parts on eBay. If you're interested and you need a specific part out of a Jeep for a World War II vehicle, Brett has got just a boneyard of stuff out there. And this guy does a remarkable job, I mean, none like I've ever seen, in order to redo these kinds of parts. So this is the T84 transmission, and you can see that he's left no stone unturned. All the parts are new, they're all replaced. All the gaskets, he's painted it back to the red oxide that the military did it, so I can then repaint it OD green or whatever the case may be. He then also, before he shipped it to me, he put this wire tie on there to keep all the guts from shaking apart, because again, these things, although very simple, they can be very difficult to get back in there. He also sends the shims. You got to have shims in order to make it work right. All of that kind of stuff to get this thing to go. Brett is one of the premier experts of it. So again, I have the gear shift, and I'll put that on there with the spring. So we're going to replace the T84 transmission. So when I get the engine out and get it ready to rock and roll, then I'm also going to replace the transfer case, okay? And I also got this from Brett. And again, as you can see, he leaves no stone unturned. Everything looks brand new. If it even looks like it needs replacing, he'll put new parts in there. If not, it's all cleaned up. It's all new gaskets, all new guts. Everything that you can see in there is absolutely perfect. And again, I highly recommend this guy if you need something like this. Now, some of you all are going to say, that guy, he's not the only one that can redo these. That's okay. Yeah? As most of you all know, I'm not a mechanic. And so if I'm spending the money to restore one of these vehicles or get it to the point where it runs and I want to drive it and it's reliable, I'm going to find guys like Brett Setter and other guys out there who have reliable parts and they have good reputations, okay? Because that's okay. We put enough money in these things. I, again, am not anything about being a mechanic. So I want it to run. I want it to go. I want it to do what it's supposed to do. And so I'm not afraid to pay that extra amount of money. Again, there's a lot of you guys that do a lot of your own mechanic work, and I applaud you for that. I'm glad you can, but I'm not one of them. And for the rest of us that may not be mechanically inclined like that, you want them, you love them, but you just can't fix them, okay? And that's okay too. So with that, new transmission, new clutch, well, you bet. So what I've got in here, I just got a box of parts in from the folks at Kaiser Willie Jeep. Now, what I got here is, let me pull this out. I got a new clutch pressure plate. All of that stuff comes from those guys. And again, I just got this box in, so all of this stuff from the guys at Kaiser Willie, it's already been ready to go. All I got to do is put it in there, okay? So again, while you got this thing apart, it only makes sense. It may have been fine in there, and again, I drove the Jeep in here and it worked. But when you get it apart, just take the time to take this thing down and put a new clutch, pressure plate, throw out bearing, and all of that kind of stuff in there. So, and with that, now, I know a lot of you guys think, well, Redfern already overdoes things. Well, you can never have too many parts. I even went ahead and bought a complete engine overhaul gasket set, because you never know what happens. Now, again, this motor was rebuilt that I'm fixing to put in here. It was rebuilt 3 years ago. That's not to say that some of those seals in there may leak a little bit, maybe the oil pan gasket or whatever. So there's nothing more frustrating than getting all weekend working to put an engine back in, and then you get it back together and something leaks, and then you not have a gasket. And that's okay. That's a cheap peace of mind from the folks at Kaiser Willie Jeep over in Aiken, South Carolina. Well, with all of that, I just want to let you know that soon I hope to have my 43 GPW up and running, and, you know, just stay tuned because you never know what else I may do to it.